Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for this installment of Epic Insight. This is Brian Lenz, Director of Sales and Strategic Partnerships here at Epic, and I'm excited to have with me two of my colleagues, Spiro Theodorakakos, our Director of Service, and Chris Harris, our Systems and Development Manager, to give you a sneak peek of our new and improved Go Retire participant, sponsor, and advisor websites. The new website is set for release by the end of August, and with it, you will see that we have embraced the look and feel of leaders in the financial industry, as well as in the tech space in general, with a very clean and simplified look. While functionality remains largely unchanged, you will see improvements in speed, device responsiveness, and a focus on the features you use most. With that, I'll turn it over to Spiro to give you some background on the release and how your feedback has shaped what we're doing. From there, Chris will give you a quick tour and highlight some of the key changes. And as always, your line will be muted throughout the call, but if you have any questions you'd like us to field at the end, feel free to enter those, and we will address those at the conclusion of the demo. Spiro, take it away.
Well, thank you, Brian, and thank you all that are in attendance for today's webinar. As Brian stated, my name is Spiro Theodorakakos, and I am the Director of Client Services here at Epic. In the 10+ years I've been with Epic, I've seen the web change multiple times, but this change is especially exciting for both Epic and me. This will be our first major release while owning the web code. So what's that mean? As many of our long-standing clients know, Epic was once beholden to a vendor for our code and its enhancements. This tended to cause a delay in requests as we truly were on someone else's schedule. Well, as of 1/1/2017, we're proud to say that this is no longer the case. Since purchasing the code in January, the Epic system team has not only been expanded, which includes web design specialists, as well as a number of programmers that are focused on web technology, but they have hit the ground running and are now poised to be able to deliver enhancements to you and your plan participants on a more consistent basis. This will ensure that the technology available will always be current with market trends and ever evolving. So with that, let's get started on our demonstration and show you where we're headed. Chris Harris, our Manager of Systems and Development, will take you through some screens that we want to specifically highlight as the main changes for this upcoming release. Chris?
Thank you, Spiro. Thank you, everyone, for joining. My name is Chris Harris. I'm Manager of Systems and Development Group. To piggyback on what Spiro said, prior to this year, we were kind of tucked away and had to work with a web vendor to do our web code. One of my biggest things was to own that code ourselves. It allows us the freedom to kind of move and be fluid with whether it be market trends or client requests or anything that may come up. It's a lot easier to do it ourselves than it would have been to work with a web vendor. So a great benefit to us this year was the fact that we were able to own the web code. So with that, this first major release that we're going to do with this code, I get to kind of have the pleasure of showing you a little sneak peek of that. Currently on my screen, you'll see the current Go Retire landing page. You go here, you have options to go to plan participant, sponsor, consultant. With that, going to the participant and sponsor, you have you have to go from that page to a login page. One of the big things we wanted to do with this release is to simplify that. Instead of taking you from one page to another, we decided to kind of combine those into one page to kind of make it a one-stop shop type of thing, so it's not confusing to our clients. And with that, we have our new login page. It's a lot cleaner looking. We are now using some Angular technology. It's a programming language which allows us to kind of set ourselves up for the future, to get ourselves into the web technology realm of kind of being more towards the front of the pack rather than the back of the pack. And it's a much cleaner look. It's a lot simpler from a design standpoint and to be very mobile when it comes to requests. So with that, we kept a lot of the same functionality like Brian had said before. We just made it a lot easier to get to and try to simplify it into one page, into one location rather. We still have our education center, just like we do today. It allows you to go to different areas regarding calculators or links or education materials for participants. We still have our help area. It allows to provide some information for participants of how do I get information, how do I get my password. We have frequently asked questions to get that information. So you can click through here and it'll give you information. If you don't know how to get your password, it will let you know how to do so. Same information that's currently today. We just wanted to kind of give it a little bit of a facelift so it gives it a more modern look to go along with the rest of the site. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and log in as a participant. And with this is our new participant landing page. Again, the functionality is still all there. We decided to kind of package it a little different just to make it a little more visual appealing, kind of go along with the trends that are going on in web technology. We had a little more eye-popping graphs, a little bit of information on there, make it easy for the eye. One of the things that we've noticed in the past, the balance information, when a participant logs in, that's one of the first things they want to see. How much money do I have? So we want to make sure that it was nice eye-popping out in the corner so this way it's easy to get to with the eye. Along with that, we have information about the asset classes. We have a new section with the retirement goal. We currently have the retirement goal now. If you don't have one set up, we have this message here to kind of entice people to set up their retirement goal. We're going to use this information going forward in later releases to try and help participants save. Go through and set up different scenarios for them so they can kind of get an idea of what it is that I need to do so I can set myself up for retirement and live comfortably. We have our information about contribution, how much am I deferring now. We added this new graph that has functionality in it that you can kind of go through different areas of the graph so you can see how is my account balance done. A new graph here, or a new table of information on positions. So the assets that I do currently have right now, do I have any elections into it? Do I have, what money do I have into it? Kind of gives you a little bit of a different slice in each of your account in each one. We allow now for based off of the, hold on a second, I'm sorry. With the existing site as it is, we tried to keep the old site and the new site. We tried to keep that information, or trying to keep that look and feel very fluid. So this way it's not a very jarring experience to a participant or to a client. So we keep that same color scheme throughout the entire site. So as you can see, we have a lot of information on this homepage. Where we've done some research on this. We actually, with this site, we're adding in some Google Analytics. So this way we can track participants, clients going in. We can see what pages they're hitting the most. That allows us to kind of work on those pages first, so we can add more value to each and every page that's getting used by the client. Okay, along with the new participant site, there is a sponsor portion of it. What I'm going to do is go ahead and log in as a sponsor so that you can see what the sponsor page would look like. So this is the home page for the sponsor. What I'll actually do is I will bring up the current sponsor so you can just see the differences that kind of went along with it. Without typing the right password. Okay. So this is our new, cleaner looking site. The existing site, it's not a bad site. It's a little older looking feel. It provides the same information as the new one. So this is more of just a compare and contrast of our old versus our new. We still keeping the branding. We just wanted that good, clean, modern look and feel to go across both a participant and sponsor site. The functionality is still there, and with this new site, what we wanted to do was to allow for our sponsors to be able to get kind of that one-stop shop of where do I go for different pieces of functionality that I need to do. One of that will be our submission of our payroll files from the client. So there will be widgets on here that allow a client to go ahead and do single sign-on. For clients that we currently have, we do have the GoFile application, which you do submit your payrolls through. With this new sponsor web, we're going to have that technology there so that we can do the single sign-on. So you only have to go to one site, only have to have one password, so then you can go ahead but still do all the functionality that you need to do. This technology is going to be here with this late August release. However, to reduce the amount of confusion or jarring from our sponsors, the specific client service team that goes along with the client will be working with them to set up that process, to make that process as simplified and easy as possible, to make sure usernames and passwords are set up correctly so that we can have that smooth transition going forward.
And please note, at this time, our service and marketing team are working together to create branded pieces so that we'll be able to give you the resources to make this as fluid and as intuitive as possible for all plan sponsors and clients.
Thanks, Spiro. After that, so again, this is just kind of this whole thing. No functionality is being lost. This is more about allowing us to have the freedom to move forward and to kind of go along with the trends of technology. And again, I can't stress the fact that how excited I am personally to be able to own this code. So we allow ourselves to do that, and I'm very excited to go along with that. So.
Chris, do you want to talk a little bit about the speed improvements as well as device responsiveness in our new environment?
Sure. What I'll go ahead and do, I'll log in here as the participant again, just so we have something to look at with it. Again, one of the trends in technology is people are using smaller and smaller devices. The idea of PCs are starting to go away, and people are using tablets. They're using their phones. A lot of technology is handheld now. So what we wanted to make sure that it's getting done is with this new site, we have responsiveness. We're no longer tied to large monitors or large screens. What we want to do is allow us so that as we go through, you can be on a smaller screen but still have all the functionality that goes along with it. So regardless if you're on an iPhone or a Samsung or an iPad, you still have the site is responsive to what your capabilities are, and it's still just as functional as if you are sitting at your own home PC.
And Chris, the other thing that Brian had mentioned was speed. Currently, speed, dependent on the size of assets in the plan or the history you have with us, tends to slow down responsiveness. I know many steps have been taken in order to facilitate immediate interaction. Can you talk a little bit about that for us?
Sure. Again, like Spiro said, depending on the size of plan, you can have a lot of data to go along with it. On top of that, you have static content of the actual site itself. What my team has done is we tried to tackle that problem from both fronts. One of them being, if you log into any site, there's a certain amount of static content, whether it be pictures or banners or button looks, that has to be kind of pulled into your browser so that this way they can go ahead and get displayed. What we're trying to do is simplify that. So with every release, we have all that static content. You download it once as your browser goes to it, and then this way going forward, you never have to worry about that again until the next release that we have going out. What that does is it removes the overhead of trying to download pictures and trying to deal with the banners or the brands as it goes through. So this helps speed up that process from a day to day. The other half of that coin is the amount of data that is being pulled through. What we did is we went through the site and tried to capture only the data that is absolutely necessary for a given participant or for a given plan. So we went through and got rid of extra data that was no longer needed anymore for that plan, at least from the aspect from the website. So reducing the amount of data that's getting passed through to the page, as well as reducing the overhead of having to view the images as you went through, has resulted in a great speed up of trying to get from the actual login page through the login process onto that home page, so you can actually start, doing your work, whether it's viewing your balances, whether it's, running reports, whether it's submitting your payroll files. We try to tackle from both ends so that we can provide the best possible experience for our clients.
And from a functionality change, Chris, one of the things I know we got asked a lot about was rate of return. Seems to be one of the highest used widgets. I know your team took the opportunity to modify the rate of return. Can you talk a little bit about that and what we've done to default it?
Yeah. So what we're going to do, what we did with rate of return is what we've found with our participants is the participant will go in, they want to see their balance. They want to see how much money do I have in my plan. Next thing they want to do is how much am I deferring into my plan. After those two things, the major thing they wanted to do was how do I know how have I done in my with the assets that I've chosen. So rate of return was one of the top things that a participant was going in to see. Before you had to choose your period, where we found that a lot of people, they don't have specific time periods in mind. What they decided was, I just want to see how I've done this year. That's a good enough indicator to me of, am I doing well or do I need to do better? So what we decided to do was automatically, as you go to that page, give you that year-to-date rate of return. If nothing else, it gives you a starting point from a participant standpoint and say, okay, I can see my rate of return. Now let me think about other scenarios that I want to use. But having that year-to-date come up to you automatically, from our experience, has been a great plus, so that we don't have to have our participants trying, automatically start thinking about, do I want to do 6 months or do I want to do a year and a half? That year-to-date kind of gives them that stepping stone to then provide them more information as we go through, go through that whole process. So what we try to do, we also sped that up greatly as well, so that this way you're not waiting a long period of time to try and get your rate of return. As you saw on my screen, go to that rate of return page, and year to date, it didn't take very long to pop up. Obviously, speed is very important. The amount of time to sit on a page to wait for something to load, we don't want to have that increase. So we made attempts, and we attacked it from different areas to try and get that speed, so that you can get that year-to-date rate of return, all the way through. We still have, just like we did today, we have the ability to go, whether you want to do by portfolio or you want to do by specific fund. Same thing with the rate of return. It allows you to do across my entire portfolio, or I only care about a specific fund. In this case, I might only want to care about the Vanguard S&P 500 index fund. That's one I'm specifically worried about. It gives the opportunity to do both. But from our experience and our research, most people cared about, I want my entire account for year to date. That for me is going to give me the best bang for the buck and gives me an idea of how my performance has been. So that concludes our sneak peek of the upcoming refresh web experience slated for the end of August. I'll turn this back to Brian for some closing comments and questions.
All right, thanks, gents. As Chris mentioned, if you do have any questions, feel free to enter those for us now, and we'll run them by the team. The first one we had come in, Chris, is what can we expect as far as future releases are concerned? Is there a schedule that Epic will be following, or quarterly? What are we looking at for next steps?
Brian, yes. At this point, what we have decided, my team and I, we've worked with our client service folks to try and come up with a schedule. At this point, we're looking at quarterly releases, and with each quarter release, we want to add some refresh to the site, some new functionality. It will depend on release to release, but at this point, we're looking for quarterly releases.
Okay, thanks, Chris. And to that effect, really, this is the beginning. We wanted to begin by giving the website a facelift, if you will, without really changing functionality, so as not to shock the system. With future releases, you can expect to see some improvements, changes to functionality as well, based on the feedback that we're getting from you, our partners.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Brian. As we work in client service, our dedicated service teams have been listening, will be listening, and want feedback. We only know what we know. Without our clients assisting us and ensuring that we're consistently up to the market trends and the experiences that participants are asking for, we're only going to be making our best guess. So your relationship management team, your client service specialist teams, they're there. Please, any feedback, we're always willing to listen.
Great. Another question came in about the rate of return. I know you were just on that page, Chris. How far back does that go in the website?
So with that, we can go, actually we can go up to probably about 2 to 3 years. That's what we have as our kind of our standard. Again, you know, the wonderful thing about what we've done is because we own the code, we have the ability to change that standard to whatever the case may need to be. But right at this point, it's looking around the 2 to 3, about 3 year mark.
Okay. And continuing on that page, does it show all of the funds available in the plan or only the funds that that participant has invested in at some point in time?
The rate of return actually shows the funds that a participant actually has. Mutual Fund Central, a different page on the site, actually will show for all the funds that are available, their performance on that. But rate of return itself is more tailored for that specific participant, so it really only focuses on the funds that that participant has.
Okay, great. And another question regarding communication protocol of just announcing this release. Really, this is phase 1. Spiro, I don't know if you want to give an overview of what outreach service we'll be making regarding this facelift.
Sure, absolutely. Our marketing manager and myself have been working on this. We plan to send out a release once a week starting this Wednesday with information. Those of you that are branded clients, will make sure that you also get a branded release. But once a week up until we announce the final date. Again, we're looking at the second to last week of August, right around there, either the second to last or last week of August as it stands right now. So there will be enough communication as to not, again, jar the system and make sure that people are aware that this is happening.
All right, thanks, Spiro. One question on the sponsor login. Is there any change in sorting of how those plans are showing up? Are those sorted by plan ID or by name, or is there any option there?
At this point, there is no option. We have it set up with the plan ID and the name. So this way, it's a lot easier to kind of pick the correct plan out of the list. For those sponsors that have a large amount of plans attached to them, you'll actually see the plan ID along with the name to go along with that. Go along with the plan on the plan choice. So here you can see the plan ID with obviously their portion of the name is shown as well, but the plan ID seems to be the most important aspect of the plan.
Okay. And that's certainly something if for whatever reason that doesn't work well for you as a partner, please share that feedback, and that's something we can always look at as we own this thing. Not that we can be everything to everyone, but we certainly are shaping this based on your feedback. So anything that's important to those in the audience, we want to hear about it, and we'll do what we can to make it happen. Chris, sponsor versus consultant web, is that relatively unchanged in that they are really showing the same information, but with plans to further differentiate those as we build this out and specify into what each party might want to see with some of the analytics we're getting?
Yes. As we start now, the sponsor and consultant site, they're very similar. Consultant has a couple more features that kind of goes a little bit higher above than the sponsor. Going forward, we're looking at a big effort to go towards aggregate reporting for consultant users. By that I mean allowing you to run reporting across multiple, if not all of the plans that are attached to your account, so this way you can have a good cross-section of information for all of your plans and not just plan by plan specifically. But yeah, at this time, consultant and sponsor are very similar, and it allows for, but we're looking towards a much more expanded role with the consultant.
All right, great. Well, that concludes the questions for today. We hope whether it's under your brand or our Go Retire website that you're seeing here, that you share our excitement in the new look and feel, and that ultimately your clients will enjoy a better experience. So we thank you very much for your partnership. Hope you have a great week, and stay tuned for further communication on the new look. Thank you all. Have a good one.